I'm Eric Parker. This morning on CT22, the Republican candidate for governor and his running mate, Bob Stefanowski, and Representative Laura Devlin are joining me in Studio A this morning. With just about 3 weeks left in this year's legislative session, we're looking at some of the interesting bills at the Capitol. Which ones are a go and which ones are a no? We'll find out the latest on what's happening in Hartford. And in our Sunday Spotlight, members of the Connecticut State Police Marathon team who will be running 26.2 miles in Boston tomorrow to help kids with cancer. It's all ahead this Easter Sunday, April the 17th. CT22 starts right now.
From WFSB, this is CT22 with Eric Parker, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare.
Good morning. Thank you for being with us. In just over 200 days, Connecticut voters will decide if they'll give Governor Ned Lamont another term or go in a different direction with the Republican administration. Republican businessman Bob Stefanowski and his running mate, Representative Laura Devlin, join me this morning in the studio. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate having you here on CT22. Mr. Stefanowski, let me start with you.
Yes,
I
sir.
saw your first wave of commercials described as a full court press. And to keep the basketball analogy going, It's the first quarter. You're a long way away from Election Day. Why come out so strong, so early, something we haven't seen from a Republican candidate in Connecticut in a while?
I think it's important to show what's really going on in Connecticut. And if you look at Governor Lamont's commercials, he came up shortly after I did. The theme is that everything is fine. And perhaps we made some progress, but when I go around the state, Eric, you've got people struggling to afford gas prices, utility bills that are out of control, cars being stolen out of driveways. You've got a governor and his administration under an FBI investigation around school construction contracts. People are ready for a change. It's important for us to roll out what Laura and I are going to do to make the state better, more affordable, safer, and have more integrity.
And one of the things you did do in that full court press, as we said, is choose a running mate early
Yes.
on. What was it about Representative Devlin that brought her into the team?
We only have 10 minutes. I could go on forever. First of all, integrity is important to me. Laura is a good person. Second, I needed somebody that could help me legislate. I don't understand the Capitol building. I'm an outsider coming in. Laura's been on the Finance Committee. She helped stop tolls. She's on the Transportation Committee. She's from a different part of the state. She's from Fairfield County to give me the perspective on what's happening there. She's a mom. She's raised kids here. So having that different perspective, I like to surround myself with people that are different than me, and then I'll make the decision. But I couldn't be happier with our choice.
And Representative Devlin, let me turn to you. You joined on to this ticket, again, early on in the process. Connecticut hasn't seen this kind of early action with a ticket in a long time. Many insiders at the Capitol were sort of surprised to see so much momentum early. Why did you get involved and why did you say yes?
You know, I was so flattered and honored that Bob asked me to join his team. I did not hesitate at all in saying yes. I think the people of our state are really looking for a team that will listen to the people of our state, that will not be afraid to take action, and that will demand accountability. And I am so excited to be able to work with Bob.
Bob, I want to ask you about the thing you said at the beginning, that a lot of people you talk to around the state are telling you that they need help, that they're struggling. Yes. I saw a comment when they were talking about the car tax cap proposal. Senator Kelly, the Republican leader, said this is the time to go even further because Connecticut is flush with cash. That was his quote. Is flush with cash an indication that the Lamont administration has done stuff right if the budget is bursting, as he says?
This is a very temporary COVID-induced flush fund that he has. And you know, an excess is when you pay off all your obligations and you have money left. What he fails to mention is that we've got $100 billion of debt. We've got $62,000 of debt at the state level. So we should be using that money to stimulate the economy, to create jobs, to make education better, and using that for fundamental long-term reform. What we're seeing from the governor is temporary, very temporary cuts to gas taxes, tax cuts that don't even implement in this fiscal year, and a lot of election year promises. You remember the first year in office, this governor raised taxes by $1.8 billion on everything from PPE to groceries. And now in an election year, he's a tax cutter. We're going to come out with a fundamental, long-term plan to make our state more affordable, safer, give parents a say in their kids' education. It's the other thing I hear throughout the state, Eric. We've got to get parents back involved in their kids' education. It shouldn't be left up to government how we raise our kids, and that's what it's come to in Connecticut.
Representative Devlin, Mr. Stefanowski said that you were the link to the Capitol and to legislating. One of the things the Republican governors have had an issue dealing with is Democratic-controlled legislatures. And a lot of the promises that the ticket can make to voters, you still have to get through that legislature. So what's that process look like? How do you promise to do something and actually accomplish it when you don't control Capitol?
Right, so you do, and we have an incredible imbalance in our legislature right now, and balance in legislature is really so important. That's how we were able to have the first no tax budget in 2017. But I think it's very much a relationship business also in the Capitol. And your word is your bond. So, in the minority particularly, you have to have relationships to work across the aisle and vice versa. So I certainly hope that will help. Let
me get your reaction to some of the things they have been talking about the Capitol. One is this car tax cap. Are you in favor of it?
We should be lowering property taxes. We should be lowering car taxes. We should be lowering sales tax. With inflation at the highest level in 40 years, we should be bringing that 6.35% down a little bit and give families some immediate relief.
Do you think that's a sustainable long-term proposal? Because obviously you just talked about, smoke and mirrors in the budget.
Yeah.
Then you're saying lower the sales tax. Well, where does that money come from then?
The unfortunate part of the last year is with the amount of money that flowed into Connecticut, both from the feds and a high stock market, we could have had the fundamental reform that we've needed in Connecticut for decades. We could have invested in our kids' future. We could have cut the tax rates a little bit more. We could have stimulated jobs. We could have paid off the unemployment loan that small businesses are struggling with. Instead of that, we're seeing frauds in West Haven, where 80% of the money given to West Haven was taken by public officials to buy poker chips and marching bands. So when we're up there, and we will be up there, we're going to focus on the long term and make the fundamental reform that's going to help our kids and our grandkids, and not just a lot of short-term promises to get us through an election year.
Tell me something, maybe a specific decision that the governor made that you would have done differently. Is there one policy you can point to and say that was a mistake by the Lamont administration?
Putting infected patients into nursing homes. He took infected patients out of hospitals. Nursing homes have our highest risk population. Over 70% of the deaths from COVID are put in nursing homes. It makes absolutely no sense. Governor Cuomo did it in New York to take infected people, putting them into our highest risk population. Makes no sense whatsoever. I still don't understand why he did it and other governors did it.
One of the things that we've seen in some of your TV commercials is talking about auditing state agencies.
Yes.
And that's something that's, we see it a lot at the Capitol where they set up a commission to study something. Yeah. Isn't that one of those things where, you're going to audit it, but how do you make any change? How do you get anywhere with that kind of promise?
Not under my administration. I'm a certified fraud examiner. I know how this works. We'll make an inspector general position that actually has some teeth to do things about it. The governor has announced an audit, but it's just of the municipalities. Most of that money was spent by OPM, which reports to the governor. That's where we should be looking. And if we had one fraud in West Haven out of 169 towns, I can guarantee you, Eric, there are frauds in the other towns, and I'm going to find it with Laura's help, and we're going to get expenses down, and we're going to pass those savings back to people to make it more affordable to live here. And that's what people are looking for from Hartford. Not looking the other way, not making excuses, but making fundamental reform. That's exactly what we're going to do.
So we said we're about more than 6 months out from Election Day right now.
Yes.
You have about 30 seconds left. Make your early pitch to voters. You're on the most watched Sunday show in Connecticut. What do you want people to know real quick about the Stefanowski administration, if there is one?
We've got a great team. We care about the people. I grew up, I know what it's like to struggle to make a rent check. I'm not sure our current governor does. We're going to make long-term reform to make people safer, make things more affordable, bring transparency and integrity back to government, and let parents have a say in how they raise their kids. They're important issues. We've been out there listening. We're going to deliver it.
All right. Well, we have a long way to go, and you two have a long way to go. We'll be talking to you both along the way. We appreciate you coming in here on this Sunday morning to be with us here on CT22.
Thank you. Happy Easter.
Thank you both. Same to you.